So what is the first step then to managing your emotions in an uncertain world?
Yeah. Isn't that difficult? Because it is so uncertain. And I find that, for me, like my default emotion was always anger. And that,
Really?
yeah, where I come from, it was like the first thing. I wouldn't get sad. Didn't feel like, like I felt angry.
About
Like
what?
everything, also because that was what was around me. I come from a really blamey culture where it's like, I can't get a doctor's appointment. They're not picking up our trash.
The
Who are
weather.
these people taking our jobs? The weather is miserable. And it was this blamey culture
Oh,
where everyone was angry about everything all the time. And there were moments in my life where I've really blown up and been so mortally embarrassed.
really?
Like to the point where I felt like the pits of the earth. I've been like, how can I ever recover from this blow up?
Like
Like
from
that is
something
the
you
worst.
said or did or
Something I
emotionally.
did and said, a way I
Really?
behaved, how I've acted. Like, yeah. And I mean, I put myself in anger management counseling just
No
for,
way.
oh yeah. Like when I was 19, absolutely. I was like, this is not going to serve me.
You put yourself in it.
Oh yeah.
Something bad must have happened to put
Oh,
yourself in it.
oh, I talk about in the book, it's my most embarrassing moment ever. I just like I think I can be as a kid, I didn't understand that there was another way. There was nobody that ever explained to me that you could take a deep breath, that you could go inside yourself, that you can have an emotion and that there can be some detachment from who you are. I thought that was who I am, who
You
I
thought the
was.
emotion was
I
you.
thought it was me.
Yeah.
I thought that I am that
Hmm.
person. And
Not
so
I'm
when I
experiencing this
no
emotion. Yeah.
no such thing. I really believed that's who I was and I only had that. That was my default mode. And so when it's like when you know better, you do better. But I had to go out and find that because it wasn't presented to me in that way.
Wow.
Mm. Hmm.
That's fascinating. It's kind of like when I kind of had my turning point when I was around 30 years old because I had a lot of anger inside of me as well. And I think I felt like I was being taken advantage of most of my childhood. And all of a sudden, the anger just came out kind of in every area of my life. And my friend was like, I don't want to hang out with you anymore. I got in a physical fight on a basketball court,
Oh
actually
God.
in the main streets of West Hollywood, and in a pickup basketball game that had nothing on the
Like a
line.
physical fight in your 30s? That's
I
scary.
was either 29, maybe I was 29,
Oof.
so almost 30. But
Oof.
I got in a fist fight with someone, and I remember walking back into like my apartment and looking in the mirror and just like looking myself in the eyes in the mirror, shaking and being like, I don't recognize who I am. Like,
Mm-mm.
who am I? What am I doing? Like, I'm a grown man getting in a fist fight over nothing,
Over nothing.
nothing. And it could have like really done something bad. Thankfully, the guy was okay afterwards, but just never know where that emotion could lead if you don't learn to like address it.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Yeah.
that's pretty insightful that you did that at 19.
No, and I've learned that over the years, because I think anger is one that for me I was able to get a grip on and understand, but it's still
Oh,
there,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
right?
You still, you still have
It's
to like take a
still
breath.
there and you don't have to go that far to
Oh,
find
no.
it. But there are all of these very unhelpful emotions. And I think the older that I've got, the more I've understood, you know, what would I do if I wasn't really scared? What would I do if I didn't feel guilt? And so much of what I'm talking about in this book is like figuring out
Mm,
like a vision for
mm.
yourself and an idea of who you are. And I think that as a kid, I had a strong feeling that where I was from wasn't who I am. I was like, I am not supposed to be here. This is
Really?
not the rest of my life. I belong somewhere else. There is better stuff for me. And I was like, what can I do? What is within my reach to get me out? And that for me was work, any type of work. I was like, get on a train and go into town and find a way that you can physically get away from this place. And in the beginning, it was just that the distance. I was like, if I get on a train and go for an hour, I'm far enough away that I can be somebody else.
Wow.
And I remember the thought of that. Like, I just could, in London, we have the tube map. And I was like, if I go from this zone all the way into this zone, I'm so far away that I can be who I'm supposed to be.
Did you not feel like you could be who you were supposed to be at home?
No, it was too difficult.
Really?
There were so many responsibilities, and I was already set up to be mum to, my sisters. And it was so, I had to be really tough. And when I understood that that toughness was causing me to
Mm,
be unnecessarily angry, I was very clear about the correlations. I was like, I have to get out of here. I have to be out of this place where I'm in constant reactive mode, and I have to choose my choice. And that's when I started to think, oh my goodness, like, that's not the woman I want to be. Like, for me, it was Oprah, right? I used to watch Oprah on the TV. And you have to go back, if you go back 25 years ago, she introduced all of this stuff to the culture that we take for granted now. But
yeah.
it's like, no one was talking about mindfulness, meditation, gratitude. Like, she introduced that
Yeah.
stuff, certainly to me. And so I was like, oh, I want to be that type of woman. I was like, I didn't know anyone like that. I didn't know a woman who spoke like that. And of course, she was a Black woman. And so for me, I was like, I'm going to be like Oprah. I'm going to be that woman. I'm going to
Mm,
say intelligent things, and I'm going to have a lot of money, and I'm going to be like graceful, and I'm still going to be strong, but I'm going to do it in this like really beautiful
and
way.
feminine and this and all
Yeah.
these
And
things.
I was like, that's it. That's the
Huh.
blueprint. Like, she's got it. And in my head, I was like, she's also making a ton of money. Like, because you
Yeah.
used to see in the newspapers that Oprah's done this and she's done that. So to me, I was like,
Wow.
okay, I'm going to model that behavior. I'm going to like read everything that she says, and I'm going to speak how she speaks, and I'm going to do this gratitude thing. And I was writing down, well, I had nothing to be grateful for,
Yeah.
really. But I was like, I'm going to find the things. And so I found a way to vision a life for myself. And still now I think about that, because I think there's so much in our culture and in society for you to measure yourself against. And I am always very careful that I'm measuring myself up against the things that I want, the vision that I have for myself, the type of mum I want to be, the type of leader I want to be, the
Mm.
things that are important to me, my principles, my values. And then I can have fear and guilt and disappointment, but not against somebody else's idea of what
Yeah.
I should be.
Interesting. This is fascinating because when I was 13, I begged my parents to send me away to a private boarding school.
You did?
I begged them. They did not want me to leave.
No, who wants their 13-year-old to leave?
But I grew up in such a environment, that was just didn't feel emotionally safe for me,
Mhm.
And so I ran away essentially, right? And I wanted to get out, and I couldn't get out fast enough. And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to get away from your environment or
Mm-mm.
wanting to run away. For me, I needed to run away for certain reasons, for my emotional safety. But eventually, I couldn't run away from myself later. Like I was still running away internally, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, right? Chasing and running
No
away to
doubt.
try to fulfill something. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong, good or bad, but it's just what I did to survive
Mhm.
until I had to come back home to me. What was the thing you were running away from the most? And when did you feel like you came back home to you, to emotional safety within yourself?
I think that what I was always running from was a future that looked like all the stuff that was around me. I was scared shitless
Mm.
that I would end up like all the women I could see, crying over some guy that left them, devastated that someone had cheated on them, left broke and alone. I could see that despair all around me. And I was like, that can never be me. That can never be me. And also, I saw a lot of women, not my own mother, but they were at the mercy of the partners that they had, right? So when he was up, they were up. New car, new curtains, lovely stuff, all great. But then when that went away, it was gone. You had a
Yeah.
drunk husband and, no money, and the car goes, and the woman's just like, what happened? And I was like, no way. Like, no way could that ever be me. And I
Mm.
saw it in my own family, and I saw it in the people around me. And so that was like a fear of mine. And so for me, working and having this idea of my life was like, that was going to be my escape. That was like, that's my plan. That's my get out plan. And then I get to decide, and I'll create the buffer, and I
Mhm.
will be in a position where it doesn't matter who is around me. Like, I'll be good.
Yeah.
And to the point where that still shows up in my life today. My husband laughs all the time. I have my own lawyers. Like, we have a family office, and we have our companies, and we have, like business managers, and I still have my own separate lawyers that will look at my stuff, because I'm like, I get it. I love you. We're together. We're going to do everything. And he's like, but you know that you are just like paying through the nose. Our lawyers are your lawyers. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? I don't know. I don't want to be one of those girls.
You never
that,
know.
you never know.
Wow.
You never know. So it's in there still.
Still in there.
Deep down, it's there and it ain't
You're still
going
worried.
anywhere.
Still worried.
Still worried.
So you still got to start with yourself. You're still doing the work.
I'm still working.
Did you guys do a prenup before?
Actually, we did a post-nup. We discussed it. And then, with wedding arrangements, we never got around to it. But the
then you
nup
did
is
after.
there.
I see.
Oh, yeah. It was fully fleshed out and negotiated. And it's actually a really funny story. We were in a restaurant and it turned out that a very famous agent and her husband were sitting close to us, but we couldn't see, and watched our whole negotiation. And every time I ever see this couple, they're like, oh,
No way.
Your prenuptial arrangement dinner. We heard the whole thing, and they were cracking up and went home and like, why don't we have a prenuptial agreement?
But you probably weren't. I mean, were you making a lot of money then?
No.
18 years ago?
So that is a great point. No, at that point, we were very uneven. So my husband had started his business journey in his kind of late 20s, early 30s, and he was doing way better than I was. But, I'm always going to bet on myself. I was like, it's a matter of time.
When?
TikTok. I was like, just wait. So no, I went in and negotiated like I was already who I am today.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What a psycho. Now I think about it, I'm like, what was I being so hard ass about?
Yeah.
I had absolutely nothing.
Like, no, in the future, when I have this.
I had a company that I owned a piece in, and I was a salaried person at that time. So I was really betting on my future.
You didn't have a big net worth or anything at the moment.
No, at that time, absolutely not.
Maybe a year's worth of savings or a few years maybe or something.
I had very little and was spending, I've never ever spent beyond my means because I'm seriously frugal and I know the price of everything. And when I say frugal, it's like, I love nice things. Like, don't get me wrong, because my people will be out there going, no, what is she talking about?
She's spending on this.
We just went to Chanel. She's a liar. But I am very mindful of money and it's still, I still understand how much every single thing costs and the value of everything. I think that's what makes me good at my job. It's like if I am expecting a customer to spend $150 on a pair of jeans, they're going to be worth every one of those $150 because I have an understanding of what it takes to make $150.
Yeah,
so it's like I'm fully still in relation to what things cost.
If you go back to the younger version of you, with all the lessons you know now and all the work you've done, and we're all work in progress for the rest of our lives, what would you say to her? Like the girl who's there taking care of their siblings and the father's not there anymore and you're kind of helping your mom, you're parenting your mom and parenting yourself.
I would say to her what I said, which back in those days, I used to be like, it's all going to work out. Like I really knew. And perhaps I'd made an unfair correlation in the work piece of it. But I was like, if you are just a good girl and you work really hard, it's all going to work out for you.
Wow.
Like, and I really believed that.
Wow.
And I still believe that.
Do you believe that you would have been able to accomplish the results you have staying in your home environment?
No way.
Really?
No, and I say that in two ways, right? Because for me, home environment is one, sort of East London, and two, England. I'm going to be really honest with you and say something that's maybe deeply unpopular because of where we are in this country right now. And we all know the underbelly of it, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that we aren't in a really tumultuous time and there isn't an underbelly to where we are and that America has a lot of darkness around it. Having said that, I look at myself and I think I am the living, breathing embodiment of the American dream. There is nowhere on earth that in 8 or 9 years you can come to and have the kind of success and trajectory that I've had.
Wow.
And so as difficult as things are right now, you have to look at me and go, wow, this country is kind of amazing because of the people and the communities and the way that you're allowed to come into a system and be successful within that system. So what worries me about where we are right now is that you would take away the single best thing that this country is all about. Like that you would erase the very thing that makes you America. Like to me, it's unfathomable because I look at it and I'm like, damn, this place is good. Don't get rid of that. Do you know what I mean? It would be like me without hair, or I don't know, like not good,
Right.
like not a vibe.
Wow.
Like you need that in this place, because
Mm.
that's what makes it so amazing. Like that fabric of the place, coupled with those people that are here, and the way all of that works together, like that's the magic of America.
Where were you in your business or financial aspect of things before coming to USA?
I was doing pretty good. So I had created and sold 2 companies before I came here. So I started my first company in my kind of mid-20s, and that was a 12-year build before I eventually sold it. I sold it to IPG Media. And in the middle of that, I got involved in this kind of blog platform thing. Like, they were bloggers, not influencers then,
Mhm.
before we even
Yeah,
had that language, where I aggregated the ad sales and sold, like the ad sales of a group of fashion
Mhm.
bloggers. And I also sold that company. So I had done pretty well, not well like I
Right.
am now, but I had made tens of millions
Yeah.
of dollars.
Okay,
Yeah. And
cool.
I was like, to me, I was
You made it.
rich. I was like, I didn't feel done, but I was very much like, I've done the thing. It's like, I've started something, I've built it, I've sold it. I made a lot of mistakes. I had offices in London, in New York, in LA. I closed in LA. It's like I did all of the things. And that made it actually even harder, because I was living, I had a house in London. I had a beautiful house in the country, the dream of England,
Yes.
and
Get away on the weekends.
yeah, take my 2 beautiful kids to my country house. I thought I was like Kate Middleton, I was like queen of the castle. And so it was even harder to risk it all and leave all of that to come into uncertainty. And honestly, to come to LA, which was never a place that I fancied. I was like, English people, I'm a Londoner. You go to New York, I thought this was like for the entertainment industry. I was like, who lives there? It's sunny all the time. It's so weird. The people are weird. That was my appreciation of
My
it.
first year I moved here, I did not like LA.
You didn't?
My first year here,
Hard to get with.
because I came from Ohio, but then I lived in New York City for a while, and I loved the vibe of New York City, the energy, the grittiness, the realness, the rawness. And I was like, everyone here is fake. That was my first interpretation.
Totally.
But then after a year, I was like, gosh, everyone's in blizzards all over the world. And I'm like,
look at us.
It's pretty nice.
With our legs out,
it's like
sunning ourselves. No, and I understand that, because to me, LA was like in yesterday. I was like, the time zone doesn't work.
Yes.
I can't call my people.
Yes.
What are you going to wear if it's sunny every day?
You're so far behind. Everyone's already got their work
like, they're
done.
on the next day. They're going to be ahead of me. So it was a sacrifice. And because I was doing pretty well, it was even harder for me to fathom, like, why, like, everybody around me was like, but you've made it. Like, you have all the things. Like, you want more? Like, what is wrong with you? But to me, there was something much bigger and almost like kind of bigger than myself. I'd had these 2 kids. Lola was 3 months old. Gray was about 2.5.
Wow.
And my husband at that point was like, you know what, Emma? He's like, you have in this company, in Good American, he's like, you have a tiger by the tail. You can do with it what you will, but I think that you need to be and put yourself like right in the middle
In the
of where
epicenter.
it happens.
Yeah.
And I was
So you
like,
launched it in UK.
I launched it while I was in the UK, and it really took off. Like, nobody had the visibility that it would take off like that. And so I, with Jens's encouragement, I was like, okay, let's go to LA. We'll go there for 3 years and then we'll come back to civilization.
Yeah. Civilization.
8 years later, and I'm not going anywhere.
What's been the biggest mindset shift you've had since moving from the UK to the USA, and what has unlocked for you with that mindset?
Well, I would say everything has changed, because the possibility for me here seemed endless.
Really?
Yeah, because when you come from a place that is, London is a big international city, but, make no mistake, it's still a small place, right? It's still in some ways such a locked community. And I came here, no one knows my accent. Everybody thinks I speak like the Queen. I do not, by the way. I am not.
Your team is like, she doesn't talk like that.
She ain't talking like the Queen. But there is no judgment here.
No.
There is like, here is a person, like, how good are your ideas? How hard are you willing to work? And so for me, that was very freeing, because you come to a place and you're like, there's no baggage. Like, I am whoever I want to be here.
Yeah. And people care about results more than anything. They're not like, trying to put you in a box, I guess. If you can create something, like the market will decide.
Yeah, and that for me, that level of
Mm.
opportunity and that shift into thinking, you know what, I am as good as my idea, and there will be somebody who wants to think about this, to
Mm.
fund it, to get behind me. And so I guess to answer your question, like any limitations that I thought were attached to what I was doing completely disappeared. And I think that I
Mm.
started to think in a much bigger way, and America and Americans
Things
helped
bigger.
with that. They
Yeah.
naturally, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just there's a speed, and there is an appetite, and
Mm.
there's a willingness. Like, and also people want to take a bet. They're willing to be like, yeah, go on then,
Go for it.
kiddo, like go for it,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy this and you want more inspirational content, make sure to click the subscribe button below and click right here to watch what's coming next.